The Word on Wealth team of financial experts is here to answer your questions and help preserve your family's financial future.
Gandalf is live.
Gandalf is live. Hey, welcome. Happy Friday, everybody. Welcome to the Word on Wealth. Today is my favorite day of the week when we don't talk about wealth with a dollar sign. We talk about wealth having to do with everything but dollar signs. So mental health, emotional health, physical wealth. We're going to talk about that. And to basically bring up this topic and talk about joy, happiness, gratitude, I have with me
That sounds
on
like
the air
a mission for Special Agent 00 Joy, Gary.
00 Joy is actually with us on this show today. We have Barry Shore, the ambassador of joy. Barry Shore, 00 Joy. Barry, how are you doing today?
Good day. Wonderful, beautiful, bountiful, beloved greetings of beautiful people. And remember, good-looking people. You know why they're all good-looking? All the millions and millions of people that are listening to this show, Gary and Noah, because they tuned in to listen to you. They're always looking for and finding the good. That's a good-looking person, looking for and finding the good in life. It's a pleasure to be here with you.
You are the acronym king of the world. And I'm going to go. Now, I know we have the acronym of SMILE, Seeing Miracles in Everyday Life, which I love that one. Love, which is living on vibrant energy, which is actually, that is just your mantra. That is what you do. Let's see. Law, Gary Quackenbush, law, love and wisdom. But I hear that you have a new acronym, ASAP.
We have a couple of new acronyms. First one I'm going to share with everybody is ASAP. Very many times in the course of anyone's week, people say ASAP, right? ASAP. And here's what it really stands for. Always say a prayer.
Okay. Got it.
Always say a prayer, because it's the prayer aspect of life that really adds that extra benefit that brings you into the next level of being. See, when we pray, and it doesn't mean you have to believe in a certain kind of God and such like that, but prayer brings you outside of yourself. And that's really the essence of what wealth is all about. In my humble opinion, Gary, is that wealth is truly that which you're able to share with other people.
Agree. We have been defining wealth as the state of enoughness. And so if you have that spiritual wealth, the mental wealth, you have enough and you can share. And I think we know we need to take care of ourselves first so that we are in a position to share. And to be in a position to share, ASAP, absolutely. Always say a prayer. And you know, Barry,
and share. Yes, go ahead.
People talk about like it's not the new thing, but there's a lot of focus now with, psychologists and mental health people and professionals. They always say meditation. You got to be in the present, in your mind, meditate. And it's like, yeah, I pray. That's part of my meditation because I can get this this communication, this transcendental communication with God and get out of myself and get into the world that God wants me to be in. So ASAP, I love it.
That is so wonderful. You just uplifted me. Wonderful, Gary. And UP stands for unlimited potential. That's why people tune into your show, because they know it's not just about a certain item. It's about unleashing the power. That's another UP. Unleashing the power that you have. So I want to tell everybody what SHARE stands for. We mentioned it a couple times before. SHARE stands for spreading happiness and rejuvenating energy.
Oh, I like that one.
But I want to speak with you today, Gary, about something I've been meditating on, thinking about, and working with over the past number of months. So may I do that right now?
Absolutely.
Okay, this has to do with the power of wow. So for many years, I've been defining WOW as an acronym as words of wisdom, which works very well when people hear something, they say, wow, because they can't internalize it right away. Words of wisdom or words of wonder. And both of those work very well because when you still have your wonder marbles about you, then you can live a life of joy and happiness and peace and love. But what I've been working with recently is the following. This is because it was asked of me by a class of 18-year-olds, interestingly enough. Isn't this fascinating? There were about 42 young people in the audience, and they specifically invited me to speak to them about wisdom and wealth. And I was thinking about it before I went, and I said, that's really interesting because the real pathway that I've been following through my life, and it was a struggle in the first 30, 40 years, because I was working more towards wealth, meaning money, over wisdom. And at a certain point, I was approximately 48, 49, I realized that what I really wanted and was able to do, and therefore make far more money and far more benefit in the world, was to have wisdom over wealth. Because when wisdom became my real focus, wealth came along with it. Whereas when I was pursuing wealth, well, wisdom was very nice. Okay, I knew how to do certain things. But I became far more, how should we say it, financially successful when wisdom became my main squeeze. So I'm using WOW now to discern between where are you holding? Are you holding wealth over wisdom, or are you wisdom over wealth?
I love it. That's profound. I love that. And that's something we could easily think of. And I love how you are saying, people say, wow, and then you throw in an acronym, which I really like that, words of wisdom. And now we're talking about wisdom over wealth, in that and that's part of the reason I do this show on Fridays, is because when we're talking about mental wealth and, non-financial wealth, we really are talking about our own mental health condition, and our wisdom comes along with that. And I think it's you have to get it in the right order, because if you're seeking money, and we know that because it says that in the scriptures too. If we seek money first, that's backwards. We're told to seek God's kingdom first, and then things will be added to you. But you got to seek the wisdom and and be a good person and do the things you're supposed to do to contribute to society, and wealth gets added to you. So I love that. That's perfect.
Well, thank you for that. I appreciate that you like it. I thought you would. And again, we're discussing this. This is for everybody listening, and thank God you have tens and tens and tens of thousands of people listening, and they're leaning in right now because this is really a discussion with
1 minute.
So and with Noah, because for the first time I'm speaking now in a very public format, and we don't have to agree, but I'm glad that you do because you're scripture based, and I think one of the reasons people really love listening to your show and to who you are is because you have embodied this process of understanding that wisdom over wealth, not so much over it, but in terms of working with it, that wisdom is the driver and everything comes along with it. I'd like to share a wonderful story also from scripture. I think most people listening have heard the name Solomon.
Now we're going to talk. So I'm going to break you for just a second. And when we come back, I want to hear this story from scripture. This is important, folks. So keep tuning in. Coming up next with Barry Shore, the ambassador of joy. He's going to tell us a story of wisdom over wealth, coming right up on the Word on Wealth.
You don't need to know everything. You just need to know where to find answers you can trust when you need them. Welcome to the Word on Wealth with Gary Quackenbush. We're here to help you build, protect, and transfer everything you've worked hard for with expert estate planning, trust administration, inheritance, and probate. Call Gary and the team at gqlaw.com. 855-500-TRUST. You're saving and investing for the future, and that's good. Have you ever stopped to think, where does my money actually go? This is Faith-Based Investing with Anthony Wright.
Most Christian families don't understand this one thing. The money that you're saving for retirement helps fund the abortion industry as well as other liberal anti-family causes. It's the sad, dirty little secret of American investing world. And here's the good news, though. You probably also didn't know that just a few minutes of your time and we'll screen and clean your investments for you. There's no cost, no obligation. Learn the truth about your own investment mix. Then the choice is yours. Remember, the word says when God's money is in the hands of the righteous, the people rejoice. Well, we also are fiduciary investment advisor representatives. That means that our firm makes a pledge to always act in your best interest. Go to BibleSafeInvesting.com. Download a free copy of my book, Faith-Based Investing, or call me at 931-RETIRED. And please don't forget, listen to Faith-Based Investing this weekend right here on Family Talk.
Gary, your team at GQ Law are experts at solving IRS and state tax problems. Talk about that.
When people have a tax problem, it tends to really stress them out. And one of the things we've been able to do is figure out how to resolve tax problems. One thing we might be doing is setting up a payment plan or getting a collection delay, maybe getting a determination that the person shouldn't have to pay the taxes at all. We do offers and compromise. We do audit reconsiderations. And one of the things that's a really powerful tool that some people don't recognize is sometimes bankruptcy can be used to actually eliminate taxes when there's certain conditions of the code that are met. So we can do all kinds of things. After we analyze your situation, we can figure out what's available, discuss your options, and figure out which ones to implement, what it's going to cost, how long it's going to take. And we can get people out from under all kinds of tax problems so they can sleep again. That's our goal.
Request your free initial consultation. GQLaw.com, 855-500-TRUST, GQLaw.com.
Hi, I'm Garth Blumenthal, Mercedes.
As a
Tell a friend about this broadcast outreach, The Word on Wealth, with Gary Quackenbush of GQ Law. Call or click to request your free initial consultation or to talk with a member of the team. Call Gary at 855-500-TRUST, GQLaw.com.
Live, living in velocity every day.
Live. We are back live here, living in velocity every day on The Word on Wealth. And we're so happy to have the ambassador of joy, Barry Shore, here with us on this wonderful show. We've been talking about some of the things that Barry has been teaching us. And I think kind of the thing that I've really had resonate with me is his acronym WOW, words of wisdom, words of wonder. And we're considering now wisdom over wealth. It's a matter of timing. It's a matter of which is first. Do you seek first wealth or do you seek first wisdom? Now, scripturally based, we're told to seek first God, and then wealth will be added to us. So it's like you seek the kingdom of God first, and then everything else will be added to you as you put it in order. Right before we took a brief break, Barry was going to tell us a story about wisdom over wealth. Go for it.
Okay, first of all, hello, everybody out there listening, and I hope you're leaning in and you're going to share this with everybody you meet over the weekend. So
Yes.
Most people have heard of the name of Solomon, King Solomon, right? King Solomon, oftentimes referred to as the wisest. Well, the story is the following. Solomon became king at the ripe age of 12. Most people don't know that. He was 12 years old when his father, David, king, passed on and gave the kingdom over to Solomon, 12-year-old. Now, 12-year-old been raised in David's palace, so he was already attuned to the idea of God. And as he was about to ascend the throne the night before, Solomon had a vision or a dream. And in the dream, God came to him and said, Solomon, I will grant you any wish that you want. Whatever it is that you want, you can have wealth, you can have honor, you can have wisdom, whatever it is that you want, I will grant it to you. Which do you choose? Solomon chose wisdom. And here's where it gets really fascinating. So it was wisdom, and Solomon also was to become, over the course of his reign, one of the wealthiest human beings that ever lived. But here's where it gets really fascinating. The wisdom was actually shown the next 2 days later when he was officially king. The famous story in the Bible of two women who come before the king with two babies. And one argues, no, that's my baby. It's alive. The other argues, no, that's my baby. I have the live one. Here's the dead one. She killed it and she gave it to me. That's really my baby. So they have two women, one with a live baby, one with a dead baby. Solomon has to decide, well, who's the right mother? How do you know? I mean, there's no proof. There's nobody watching and says like that. So Solomon did something which we now call Solomonic, right? Because of this amazing story. He says, bring a sword and cut the live baby in half. And one of the women said, yeah, do that. Cut it in half. And the other one said, no, keep the baby alive. I don't care. Give it to her. Keep the baby alive. And Solomon said, what? That's the mother.
Right.
Because he knew. So that was wisdom speaking. And when you have wisdom, almost by definition, not almost, by definition, everything else comes along with it. Wealth, honor, God-willing integrity, because you're living in wisdom. So we want to live in the wow of wisdom over wealth, because wisdom is the driver. Wisdom is the one that brings along with it all of the other things that make life so beautiful.
I love that. And that's such a great scriptural story. I mean, it's been around for a long time. I did not realize he was that young. I knew he was a very young king. He had a long reign. Things came about, but it's interesting that, that's the determination. It's like the person that really cares was willing to give up the child so that the child could have a life. And, so that's what he forced out of the situation. You can compare that to so many things in life. I love that. And this is just a little bit of a sidelight. I was in court one time, and, you have a judge, and the judge has to decide, a lot of times the judge has to decide this person wins or the other person wins, who wins and who loses. The judge, I had an attorney that was arguing, basically, I don't want Gary to win. I don't want my client to lose. So so we should have some type of a halfway. And the judge's term, and they use this, he said, I cannot make a Solomonic decision. You can't cut things in half. You have to you have to decide one way or the other. So you either win or you lose. You need to proceed. So that was the interesting thing. No Solomonic decisions. It's just a big thing. And I'm glad that you brought that in over wisdom over wealth, because I know that's how we think of King Solomon, is this wise at a really young age. And how could you be? And it was only because he was drawing on the powers of heaven. That goes back to ASAP, always say a prayer. Whether Solomon was seeking it or not, the night before he had to make this decision, God knows what's going on. I'm sure God anticipated what was going to happen, and basically, gave him the ability to then decide, I'm going to give you this power and just trust me. Eventually you're going to need it. And it happened right away. So I love that. Always say a prayer. Sometimes the prayer is simply, I don't know how to get through this. I need help. And what's going to happen. And then it's in the form of a dream or an answer. A lot of times.
Well, that's the thing, Gary, too, that I know Barry would agree with. A lot of the times when we're going through maybe something really difficult in life, you don't even really know exactly what you're asking for. You're calling out for the solution, for the steps. You're calling out for the specifics. And that is whatever it is that you believe in. If you're talking about the God of the Bible and of the scripture,
right,
for him to provide those things.
Yeah. So that, I mean, and that's what
I'd like to add something, if I may, on this.
Yes.
I think you touched on something wonderful. I want to make people aware. You don't have to be born a king to have this. Every single human being has the Solomonic power. I think that's part of what Scripture gives us also. Everybody has this. It's not just unique beings, selected, et cetera, et cetera. Well, I'm just a guy or a girl. No, the genius of wisdom and the genius of Scripture, in my humble opinion, is that everybody is endowed with this ability, as you said, Noah, so wonderfully, the ability to call out, the ability to recognize, I don't know, the ability to even say, I don't know. Isn't that wonderful? Because when one recognizes that you're not just the center of everything and that there is an ability to understand beyond oneself when you ask. And I think that's, by the way, one of the things that you do so well, Gary, is you're inviting people to come to you to ask questions.
Yeah, when he's talking about the financials, even from a monetary perspective, Barry, it's because he has the expertise on certain things and I've been actually asking him for help off the air on certain things that I know I just don't have the answer to it. And I'm not even going to try. I'm going to go to somebody that has those answers. And so when you're looking in the spiritual realm, it's the same thing.
Exactly.
Absolutely. And they mesh beautifully because money is a wonderful spiritual process. Wealth, by the way, is a sort of an acronym for it, which stands for We All Touch Heaven. We all touch heaven. That's what wealth is really about.
I love this. Barry, the thing that really touched me today when Noah and I were talking about, putting this show together, it was earlier on in the week and I just went, Noah, I really want to talk about joy and gratitude. And it's a big topic right now. It's just like all over the place. Let's get our expert on. And he said, I'm going to get the ambassador of joy to come on and we're going to talk about joy and happiness, joy and gratitude. With so many things going on in life, we are all very, very, our time is full, our calendars are full, making time to do the right thing and be helpful and serve and all that. It's difficult. It's always a challenge. It's a wonderful challenge to have. But I just got thinking so much. I am so grateful for what I have, and what saves me every night is I write in a gratitude journal, just thinking of things. In fact, my son, just yesterday, called my wife, his mom, and said, Mom, I want to tell you, I every night I give thanks for 10 different things. And he says, and they're the top 3, and you and Dad are in the top 3 every night.
Woo!
And isn't that great?
You can't
Love that.
talk about wealth. That is the ultimate wealth.
It just,
when your children, grandchildren, family members consider you to be of benefit and a guiding light in the world, there is no greater wealth. I'd like to give.
Well, even vice versa, Barry. I mean, it really is a full circle of life. Gary was at my wedding. You were there in spirit. It was a tremendous experience. And after it was all said and done, it was a very warm feeling inside. And I told both of my kids, who were my best men, I said, you know what? I want to thank you guys for being there. Not only were you there for me, which you didn't have to. I mean, being a best man is a big responsibility. I could not have had the wedding that I had if they didn't step up to the plate and stand by my side.
Gratitude.
Well, a big bravo on you, Noah, because you raised them well, didn't you? So let's talk about gratitude, because that's what we're doing right now. We're giving gratitude. I'd like to suggest a practical gratitude routine for everybody,
Thank
if
you.
I may. So first of all, I want to give a free gift because that's gratitude for me. The free
90 seconds.
copy of my book in the ebook format, and there's a couple that has underwritten 100,000 copies of my book. It sells for $14.95, but it's free to everybody who wants it. All you have to do is go to. May I announce the URL?
Yes.
Okay, go to barryshore.com, BARRYSHORE, barryshore.com/ebook, and you get it
One.
free. This book is transformational, not just full of information, transformational. Read a little bit of time, use it. It's people love it. And it's, again, underwritten by a wonderful, generous couple. They want to distribute 100,000 copies so we can touch a lot of lives. So the practical gratitude regimen that I urge people to consider doing, and it will take you all of about 17 seconds over the course of the day. How's
Okay.
that?
You got 30 seconds, Barry.
Okay, here we go. Learn to say thank you 3 times a day, consciously and conscientiously. Thank you. Thanks stands for the network kindness. Say thank you 3 times a day, consciously, conscientiously from now and the rest of your life. You'll be happier, healthier, and wealthier.
Thank you, Barry. Love you, man. Talk to you next time, everybody. That was Barry Shore, the ambassador of joy. We're going to be back. We're going to have a little bit of a
You've got
review.
questions. We've got answers. This is the Word on Wealth with Gary Quackenbush of GQ Law.
Sorry, that's my fault. I was talking.
Go online and download Gary's free ebooks and videos. Read Gary's blogs. Call or click to request your free consultation or to talk with a member of the GQ team. That's gqlaw.com. 855.
All right. Welcome to the Word on Wealth. Happy Friday, everybody. I'd love to have you along. This is one of my favorite days of the week. Friday for a number of different reasons.
Well, especially when Barry Shore is on.
Barry Shore was incredible. He is so positive. I mean, his story, and it's hard to do things in a half an hour. I mean, I know sometimes you can get some down for 15 minutes and get all kinds of stuff out. With Barry,
Barry makes it easy.
He makes it easy. I mean, the half an hour with him just flew by. So I want to tell you guys, the whole thing this Friday, really wanted to talk about gratitude and joy. And we thought, that's what we thought. Ambassador of Joy, Barry Shore, shore like the shoreline. All right. So what he has done is he's made it so that he's giving you a gratitude gift. Thank you for listening. They're trying to give away a lot of copies of his book that's usually $15 approximately. If you go to barryshore.com, BARRY shore, barryshore.com/ebook, you can get his ebook and download it, and it will be available to you to read. So one of the things I did, and if you're watching on Facebook Live or YouTube, here's his book. It's got it's a picture of, it's called The Joy of Living, how to slay stress and be happy. And this is a guy that in his story, which he wasn't able to tell today, we didn't quite have the time, is he literally was fine one day, the next day he couldn't move. Like he had this really weird, unique paralysis, and it took him years to get to where he could actually move on his own and get to where he could stand and then walk. And now he walks around with a 7-foot staff, because without it, he can't even walk down a curb. The thing that he has been doing is he wants to swim all the way around the world. And what he's doing that is he knows how far it is to swim around the equator, knows how many miles that is. And he swims 2 miles a day. And he counts that towards his swimming around the entire world. And he's doing it. I mean, he's incredible. I mean, a guy that couldn't move is now swimming. Not easy for him to do, but he's doing it. And I just love having him on the show. I'm just really proud of what he's doing. He's got just so much dedication and love for everybody. It's fun. So make sure you get his book, barryshore.com, and get his ebook. So barryshore.com/ebook, get his book. And the recommendation that he made for us is that you say thanks 3 times every day, that you do it with joy and commitment and fulfillment, and you mean it. And you say thank you 3 times a day. In Pacific Beach, where I used to live, there was it's a Frosty store. I mean, as a kid, I know what a Frosty is, right? A soft serve. So there's this Frosty store, and it's in Pacific Beach on the main road. And there's a guy that worked there. And when he would hand you your Frosty cone, you'd say thank you. And he'd say, thank you for thanking me every time. It was funny. It wasn't you're welcome. It was thank you for thanking me, because that's the kind of guy this was. I mean, he worked in the store. I think he even owned it. And he was just like, thank you for thanking me. And he was just like grateful for people's gratitude. And I could just see Barry doing that, at the, being in an ice cream store, serving you your soft serve or your yogurt or whatever. And you'd say, thank you so much. And he'd say, thank you for thanking me so much. Joy, gratitude.
The best Cold Stone employee ever.
That'd be great. Oh, he would be fun. He's just incredible. I don't know. And it doesn't, sometimes Noah,
think about it. He's been through the gamut. He should have every reason to be negative, but he overcomes, he strives to be better, and he always looks on the bright side of life. And that is the type of joy that he just spreads everywhere he goes, Gary.
It's so true. And it's funny. One of the times we had him on the show, he was talking about, he said, the way to get through life is just be mad. I went, Barry, how could you say that? And he says, mad, M-A-D, make a difference. So if you want to go through life mad, that's okay. Make a difference. And that's when we started talking about love and gratitude. And of course, there's an acronym for gratitude: generating rewarding awareness, thoughtful, inspiring transformation, unlimited divine expression. Memorize that one. joy of journey of you. So that's really what I want to talk about with joy. If you have any comments on this show, if you want to be on and tell us what you're grateful for, can be just call up and just say, hey, Noah, say that I'm grateful for my dog or whatever. Call us 888-344-1170. I want to see if we can get, some callers in here to express their joy. 888-344-1170. Just call. Noah's going to answer. and we're here on the Word on Wealth, and you can just announce, I'll put you on the air. That'd be great. And you can say, this is what I'm grateful for. I'd love that. 888-344-1170, 888-344-1170. What are you thankful for? I am thankful for Barry Shore, barryshore.com, his ebook. I am thankful for clients that seek my advice and follow it. And that's in a very good way, I believe, because as a professional, sometimes I know exactly what we need to do. I have no question this will work. We're going to move forward in this direction. And I love it when clients will be on board with that and then do what we ask. And I don't make things too difficult. I want to make it so that it's sustainable and doable. And I am grateful when I can do that after 34 years of doing the kind of work that I do and having people understand what's going on and they appreciate what's going on. I am grateful for that. The tough thing in my career is sometimes I will give someone advice or help someone to get through things. I'm not always right, but when it doesn't get done like I suggest, like I advise, like I cajole, like I steer, it doesn't, there's no cooperation in that direction and it falls apart. I feel bad. I keep doing it day after day. Most people find that getting advice from professionals is very, very helpful. Even if it's not exactly what you're going to end up doing, at least you have more information and more guidance. We had so many people come in this week. I think we had, 10 or 12 new people that we just met for the first time this week and helped them out with different situations. And it was very fulfilling. Well, one gentleman was like, what can we do to help? And it was a matter of, let's just talk about what your options are. And I think sometimes knowing what your options are and what they are not is really helpful. Because instead of getting like hopeful, oh, I know I can do this and I will be completely out from under this problem. If we go through it and say, here are what your options are. None of them are that good. Some of them are better than others. And you're going to have to choose between options that are not good. So you're going to have to go, all the way from awful to good and decide which one will work best for your situation. But there's no incredible, there's no awesome, there's no snap my fingers and away goes my problem. That rarely happens. So you got to choose different options. And we talk about the consequences and things like that. Noah, when you were talking about Barry going through a tough time, it's true. I mean, I looked up the statistics, 114 days in the hospital, 2 years in a bed, 4 years in a wheelchair, and now he can walk. He's been through it. But the thing is, guys, here's what happens to me. When I hear stories of these, crazy things that people have to go through just to survive, and people like Barry that have suffered so much, and now he's pushing forward and trying to be an ambassador of joy for people. Like, you guys, it's just, I know you're going through a tough time, but you can get through it. You can do it.
2 minutes.
Sometimes it's a little overwhelming. And I think sometimes we make the mistake of thinking, well, if I went through that kind of mess, then sure, I would be that grateful too. And sometimes I don't know, sometimes I talk to people and they, their kind of attitude is, well, of course he went through that really, really hard time and came through. So of course he's doing well, but I don't have that kind of a challenge to overcome. So I haven't learned those lessons. And so I can't be like him. And that's probably true. You have to be like you, but it doesn't take, being in a wheelchair for 4 years, being basically incapacitated for almost 6 or 7, 6.5 years. It doesn't take that to get a better perspective. I don't believe that we have to go through the school of hard knocks for everything. I believe that we go through the school of hard knocks for a lot of things, but not for everything. I believe that if we learn the past and learn what went wrong in the past, then we can avoid it for the future. Because if we don't look to the past and see what didn't work, then we are doomed to repeat it. And that's a saying, I don't even know who said it, but it was like, if we forget the past, if we forget the failures of the past, we are doomed to repeat them. So that's why we look back. That's why we look to people that have been through it before. who have struggled, who have overcome, and be grateful for that. This is Gary Quackenbush. This is the Friday edition of the Word on Wealth. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I'm really happy to have you along. We're going to continue on our journey of gratitude coming up next. So I want to make sure that you guys understand that I have lines open. The number is 888-344-1170, 888-344-1170. What are you grateful for? Just one thing. What are you grateful for? 888-344-1170. Here on the Word on Wealth on our Friday day, we're talking about mental wealth, mental health, and all good things. What are you grateful for? 888-344-1170 here on the Word on Wealth.
You don't need to know everything. You just need to know where to find answers you can trust when you need them. Welcome to the Word on Wealth with Gary Quackenbush. We're here to help you build, protect, and transfer everything you've worked hard for with expert estate planning, trust administration, inheritance, and probate. Call Gary and the team at gqlaw.com, 855-500-TRUST.
Gary, our listeners are asking about trust disputes and whether or not they'll actually get the inheritance they're expecting.
I think that's a scary thing for most people because they feel like, if I ask my successor trustee, hey, where's my inheritance? You kind of feel like, oh my gosh, I'm being like rude or whatever, inconsiderate. But I'm telling you, if time goes on, if it's been like 60 days, 90 days, 120 days, that's too long to have heard nothing. You're supposed to hear fairly soon, like within a couple of months after someone's passed, you should be hearing from that successor trustee. And if you're not, I think there's an issue we need to address. So it's not like we're going to go screaming in there and filing lawsuits. We kind of use gentle nudges like, hey, do you know what you're doing? Successor trustee, we kind of want to help you do your job, and we help beneficiaries kind of get things straightened out.
Call or click to request your free initial consultation. gqlaw.com, 855-500-TRUST, gqlaw.com.
As our days get shorter, the tourists leave our beautiful
Tell a friend about this broadcast outreach, The Word on Wealth, with Gary Quackenbush of GQ Law. Call or click to request your free initial consultation or to talk with a member of the team. Call Gary at 855-500-TRUST, gqlaw.com.
Happy Friday, everybody. Welcome to the Word on Wealth. This is Gary Quackenbush. This is our Friday edition of the Word on Wealth, where we're not talking about wealth that has dollar signs. We had Barry Shore, the ambassador of joy, on with us, and he has offered every one of you listeners to get his free ebook that talks about gratitude and the joy of living. He has been through the gauntlet and is doing really well. So he's offered his book for free.
Well, and think about it like this too. A lot of times, Gary, me, you, I know we're both guilty people out there. Yeah, you find the little things to complain about. And if you just take a moment and you just stop and think, sometimes it's just life. And we have to remember that at the end of the day, it's going to be okay. And focus on the positive things. It'll help you get through those negative things, even if they're smaller, a little bit easier.
Exactly. I agree. It's helped me a lot.
I'll tell you what, you wanted to know what I'm grateful for? I'm grateful for your friendship, because not only have we worked together for about 15 years, but we have developed a relationship over the years. You've given me, just great advice personally. And whenever I have needed you, you've been there. So I just want to say thank you, my friend.
Well, thank you for that, Noah. I'm grateful for you and being my producer and being a good guy and a good example to the community. I love it. You're a good guy. And I respect that in you very, very much. Oh, if more people could be like Noah. Seriously, I love it. If you want to express your gratitude to us here on the air, 888-344-1170. Call us up right now, 888-344-1170. Get the phone, type it in, 888-344-1170. What are you grateful for here on the Word on Wealth? Barry says, say thank you 3 times a day. I love that. I'm going to be doing that. I'm writing in my gratitude journal. I read a book called The Gratitude Diaries, which is a woman who's an editor of fancy magazines. And she did a test where she wrote in a gratitude journal every day and decided that she was going to try to be grateful for a year. And she says so many times in her book, she did the research, not just, to actually prove scientifically. The crazy thing, which is the coolest thing, is that gratitude, being grateful, which is the opposite of being entitled. Okay. Isn't that crazy? Think about that. Gratitude is the opposite of being entitled. I am grateful for this rather than I am entitled. If you are grateful, and when you are, you can measure the change of chemicals in your brain just by being grateful, by expressing gratitude, by writing it down. It actually changes the chemistry in your brain. Your brain is just a big chemistry set. It's like a pharmacy in there. Your brain can release chemicals to heal itself, to heal the body, to help you, and healing the body. Part of that is your brain and having your own brain cells
And
function.
isn't that the purpose, Gary? I collect journals. I actually don't use them very often. It's something that's actually on my immediate to-do list. I do a lot of freehand writing instead, which is very good. But when you find yourself sitting down, being active, what am I thankful for? Sometimes you write something down you don't even realize that's been in the back of your mind that you are grateful for. And that action of writing it, that becomes reality. And suddenly you're very cognizant of that.
Mm-hmm. I agree. And that's all about the brain. It's all about brain. That's one thing. So my son is a trauma therapist, and he goes around and talks about the brain. And it is fascinating to hear, telling these, medically proven things that our brain does. And a lot of it is when we are grateful and we recognize things and we acknowledge things. It's all about, living. That's why they say, live in the moment, be present, because when you do, then your brain chemistry is aligned differently than if you're always worried about, you're worried about what happened in the past. You're worried about what's going to happen in the future. You're not here. You're not present. And that's why we are working so hard to say, be present. That's where you hear about meditation. And, meditation for some people is like Barry Shore's ASAP principle. The acronym is always say a prayer, ASAP. Where you get yourself connected because you pray and acknowledge a higher power, the creator, the omniscient, omnipotent, omnipresent creator of us. And if you acknowledge that, you acknowledge this, supreme power and basically how we are dependent on him and his power, then you become grateful. You become less entitled and more grateful. Express your gratitude, 888-344-1170, 888-344-1170. And we appreciate those who are thinking about calling that have not, but are just thinking in their mind. I am grateful for fill in the blank. I'm grateful for so many things. So I figured, let me take the last few minutes of the show, and I want to get some questions answered, because I know it is, Feel Good Friday. We're talking about things, and I just wanted to answer 2 questions, and they're not having to do with gratitude, but it's getting things in order, which I think is a condition of gratitude. We are defining wealth as the state of enoughness. And if you're prepared, then you are wealthy in the fact that you have enough planning, you have enough comfort, and you're taken care of. So there are 3 questions that got posed to me that I wanted to address. One, the question was, Gary, my contracting business is incorporated and I want my sons to have it in case anything happens to me. Translation: when I die, I want my sons to have my business. His question: can I put my corporation in my will and then give it to them? What do you suggest? Number one, I would say don't put your corporation in your will. Put your corporation, because you can name your corporation in your will and say, my sons get my stock of my corporation, but that goes through probate, because anything that's worth more than $184,000 goes through probate. So what you do is you create a trust, I'm sorry. You create a living trust, and then your corporation, the way we know you own it is you can show me a stock certificate that says Joe owns, whatever it is, Construction Incorporated. He has 100,000 shares. We transfer those shares to the trust. So now your living trust, through your trustee, will be the owner of your business. You continue to run it. It doesn't change. You don't have to change your bank account. The corporation still continues to do its thing and function like it's supposed to. But then when you pass away, your successor trustee of your trust can now run that business as a corporation, as the corporate owner, to make sure that it transfers over to your boys. So I think that's a great thing to do. Corporations and LLCs are really easy to transfer to a trust, so that you can then have that transition plan that when you pass away, it can go to your family through your trust. So excellent question. Good answer. Call me if you have any questions. I can help you with that stuff. 888-855-500-TRUST. 855-500-TRUST. Okay. The other question, this is an easier one. Gary, I just bought life insurance and the company wants me to name a beneficiary. Is it best to name my wife or the trust as a beneficiary? Great question. Thank you for asking. Definitely life insurance. I say put it in your trust. Okay. So I would not name my wife as the beneficiary. I would name the trust. And the way that goes is it's technically the successor trustee or the trustee of the trust is the beneficiary of that life insurance. You go online, you go to the change of beneficiary section, and so you get to where you figure out where you are, your life insurance company, it'll say, change of beneficiary, you give your identification, all that stuff, and it'll ask about your new beneficiary. Okay, is your new beneficiary a person or a trust? Check trust. Is the trust revocable by the grantor, which is the person that created it? Yes, it is. It's a revocable trust. So check the box revocable. What is the name of the trust? Then put the name of your trust, Gary and Cheryl Quackenbush Family Trust. When was it created? And that's going to be, whatever is November 1st, 2000. So that's how you do it. And then how much goes to this number one beneficiary? 100%. If that beneficiary is not around, is not in existence, the trust has been deleted or whatever you did, then who are your alternate beneficiaries? And then that's when you would name spouse. And then what about your third in line? You can name your kids. But I want trusts to be the beneficiaries of your life insurance. Why not your wife? Because when you die, your wife becomes the owner of that money. And if it's a $500,000 policy, she now has $500,000 in her name, not in the trust. If something happened to her then while she's trying to figure out what to do with it, or if when you passed away, she became incapacitated in the same accident, now you have an incapacitated beneficiary with $500,000, and you don't want that. That goes through probate. So life insurance, put the money in the trust as, through the beneficiary designation. So these are things that we work on every day. You guys, I'm grateful for you listening today. Fridays are always a special day when we talk about things that don't have to do with money. I just wanted to answer a couple of questions you had there. This is Gary Quackenbush. I am an attorney. I've been an attorney in San Diego for 34 years now. My favorite thing to do is do wills, trusts, and help people understand what their estate planning needs.
I was just going to say,
are.
And you like helping people.
I love helping people. It is literally my mantra of my firm. My statement of purpose is essential legal services simply, affordably, because we want to be the legal services firm for people, regular people, not fancy corporations. We don't do, gajillion dollar, contracts. We help people do the things they need to do, to have the documents they need to have so that they can feel secure, happy, safe, and so they can sleep at night. This is Gary Quackenbush, your host and author of The Word on Wealth. And we will talk to you on Monday morning or Monday at 2 o'clock, everybody. Thanks. Have a great weekend. Thanks, Noah. Bye-bye.
Tell a friend about the Word on Wealth, featured since 1995 with financial solutions attorney Gary Quackenbush, an expert in estate planning, wills and trusts, and tax problem solving. Gary is past president of the California Society of Tax Consultants. Reach out to us. The Word on Wealth team of financial experts is here to answer your questions and help you preserve your family's financial future. The information you hear on the Word on Wealth is for general information purposes only.
My friend, thank you very, very much.